All right, so we're joined for the second time today by the amazing Dafina Skinner Armstrong, the founder and operator and jack of all trades at Da's Essential Eats Treats, and I think I said it right, which was born in just an amazing story. She's got an amazing story how she got into nursing, but how she started this amazing business off of a social media post is really, really something to hear. Really got to hear it. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson. This is for our entrepreneurship class. We're recording this for our friends at Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today.
Thank you for having me today.
We'll go ahead and start talking about it. You are a nurse, a very successful nurse, very family nurse practitioner from Jackson, Duke University. And during COVID, obviously, we all found a new way to do things. This became a new thing for me to have all these guests from literally around the world. But during that time, you were practicing your passion in cooking and baking, and you had a social media post of a cake that went viral, and then it all went from there. So tell us about all the, because I think it's hilarious. It's turned into a successful business for you.
It really is funny how things happen. As you've stated earlier, I am a nurse by trade, by career. I'm a family nurse practitioner, a critical care nurse, still at the bedside in the ICU. Well, I am also good at cooking. So I had no plans on starting a business. I was focused on my career, my family, have two small children, husband, and I was focused on just doing that. And so I like to cook. I experiment with different recipes across the globe. It could be Indian food, African food, down south, deep south cooking, you name it. I pretty much can do it. Well, I would post some of my treats, some of the things that I would cook. And I was actually writing a cookbook, which I have not finished yet because business became so bustling that I had to put my book down. Well, one day I posted a turtle cake, a chocolate cake with chocolate sauce, caramel, pecans, and chocolate chips. And it was decadent. It was, appetizing. It was appealing to the eye. And so I'm a visual artist. I paint on acrylic, on canvas. So I have an eye for art in presentation. And that was one of the things that people would always say, oh, your food looks so good. I wonder if it's as good as it looks, to see a plate of food, you want it to be appealing to the eye, especially if you want people to buy your cookbook or to buy into your product. You want it to look good upon presentation. Well, I posted the chocolate cake and my inbox started to kind of blow up. And one of the inbox requests was from a nurse manager that I had worked with at Baptist Hospital who requested that chocolate cake. And I said, oh no, I don't sell food. I couldn't sell you a cake. And she said, please just do it for me. I really want that cake. You name your price. And I felt kind of weird because I wasn't selling food or anything. So I said, well, okay, just give me $40 for the cake. And so we arranged for her to pick up her cake, and the rest is really history. She posted, and then that one request literally turned into hundreds. And before you knew it, I was in my own home kitchen baking 40 cakes a day. And I keep in mind, I had never taken a culinary class or anything, no class on cake design or anything. It was just something that I enjoyed doing on my off days. So from there, the requests continued to just bang, pound, pound. And my kids at the time, it was during the height of COVID. The school started closing down. My kids were in private school. They closed down, just shut down with a day's notice. The kids can't come back to school. So it was either me go back into the hospital and continue to work, or my husband basically quit his job. My schedule is very flexible, so I chose to stay at home during the week and work as a nurse on the weekend. The beauty of being a nurse, you can pretty much write your own schedule. So I would keep the kids during the day, and I would play around in the kitchen as well while they did, online school. So a turtle cake turned into start making strawberry cakes, started doing banana pudding, started doing chicken salads, and then literally we had so much traffic in our neighborhood because they would pick up from my house. So I said, well, okay, this is getting to be a lot. Let me find out the legalities of it, because you got to make sure what you're doing is legal. So I started researching Mississippi state laws and what I was allowed to do from my home, and that was baked goods. So I said, okay, great. Let's operate on cottage food laws, which is Mississippi law, that you can do baked goods from your home, but there is one stipulation. And that stipulation is that you could only make about $20,000. Well, so I said, okay, 20,000. Yeah, okay, we can do it under college food laws, because I had no idea as to the magnitude of my business at that point. So I said, oh, we won't reach that in a year, because we only do here and there. We're only charging $40 for this and $30 for that. Well, within a month, I had made 20,000 plus. And so it continued to build and build and build. So we had to start researching other things and other avenues to do things legally. So at the end of a year, we kind of took an assessment, and Di's Essential Eats ended up being a six-figure business in less than 6 months. So the grand scheme of things, it replaced my entire nursing income. So we, during that process of me building that business and then kind of taking a look at how I modeled my business and how the operations were going through the process, I started to be smarter about how I worked. So where one request turned into 40 cake requests, turned into 100 cakes, turned into 150 in 1 week, I said, how I felt burnt out. I said, how can I continue this? And I'm only a one-woman operation with my husband doing my deliveries. I said, how can this continue and be successful? And I said, you know what? You've got to be smart about how you work. So where I would make $40, $50, $60 on one cake, I started making $160 to $180 on one cake. My customer said, Dafina, you're giving us too much and not charging enough. Now, this comes from my customer base.
We
And
talk
so,
about that with every guest.
yes. And so when they said you are giving us too much and not charging enough, I said, say less. So my price margin went up to there. But when I increased my prices, my profit margin increased greater than 400%. So it was a win-win-win-win-win situation for me, which allowed me to even stay out of the hospital for 3 months. And so I just solely focused on my business and how I could make it more successful. And, you know, I started doing my own marketing. I would stay up late at night and I would post decadent pictures of some of my treats, and I would garner an audience based upon how I would present my food. And, you know, you would stage your own food. You make sure it looks really good and appetizing and appealing to your customers, and they're going to want it. It's in their memory banks. They go to sleep and they dream about your banana pudding. They go to sleep and they dream about your cakes, and they wake up and there your inbox is, it's lit up. Oh, I want that. I want to try that. I want to do that. I want to do that. So again, you have to be smart about how you present your stuff and how you roll it out. So the packaging on my products, I designed all of it. I designed my labels. I use resources like Amazon. I took my picture, which is my brand, which is my face, and I put it on my labels. I also put the name of my business, Di's Essential Eats and Cakes LLC. We registered with the state of Mississippi to do a limited liability company. And you know, we have our ducks in a row in terms of taxes, in terms of what we bring in terms of everything that we buy. And I kept an Excel spreadsheet so that we could keep up with all of our sales. And we would just do special after special after special. And with that business, I only worked 2 days a week. So that's it was a six-figure business, only working 2 days a week. And so I said, okay, great. So we continue to grow and grow and grow. So now we have thousands of customers who literally I roll out the same things each time: banana pudding, strawberry banana puddings. And I have concocted all types of banana puddings, red velvet, strawberry banana. You know, I do all types of cakes, and I specialize in gourmet bundt cakes.
Wow.
Chantilly cake, strawberry cake, all types of caramel cakes. And if you are my customer and you want to see me do something, you get the first product for free. It's a great and ingenious marketing piece, but it tends to garner all types of attention, especially when they hear, okay, if I tell her I want tiramisu and she does it, I'm going to get it for free. It's a benefit for the customer and a benefit for me. And so as people post, I get more customers. And I'm a social media based marketing business. I do all of my marketing on social media, Instagram. I do some TikTok tutorials. And of course, I do Facebook. A large part of my business is brought through Facebook. And again, I have a group on Facebook, which is a private group. And it's the same amount of customers every time, but they bring in all their friends. And so each time I meet somebody new or I have an interaction with somebody new. And our biggest piece in our business is customer service. We pride ourselves on customer service. We try to get it right 100% of the time, but if we do not, we make it right. So if that means giving somebody else their money and giving them more product, then we do. We just want them to come back again and do business with us. And we've been very successful doing so.
That's incredible. Now, as somebody that worked in restaurants, and met a lot of food entrepreneurs, one mistake that I see, and you talked about it, so many small businesses, especially a lot of Black-owned businesses in the area, the first thing I tell them is you're not charging enough. And I think that comes from, especially you hear people say all the time, oh, you cook really good, you should open a restaurant. But they may be able to make great food, but if nobody's taught somebody how to run a business, that's a very easy trap to fall into. So what did you have to learn on the fly? Because obviously you have a great product that you can make, and a lot of things you can make that people love. But what did you have to learn as far as the business aspect? Because it is a completely different monster.
Absolutely. As far as the business aspect goes, you have to look at what you're spending on your product. You don't want to spend over what you're going to take in as far as revenue is concerned. You have to take all of those into consideration. But what you want to also do, if you're presenting a tangible product like I am, which is the food, you want to make sure your packaging is legitimate. You want to make sure your packaging is not faulty and that somebody doesn't go to eat something and it falls apart. You want to make sure that it looks good, that it's sealed appropriately so that nothing gets into your product. You want to also make sure that you are clean. Vehicles that you may transport your food in. Even when I cook, even if it's in my home, I'm gonna have a hairnet on, a bonnet of some sort, a face mask, gloves. You want to just make sure that everything is sanitized to the T. Cleanliness, presentation, what you spend on your products and what you bring in is absolutely important. Communication is even much more important than anything in running your business. I had to learn the hard way, but I had 2 years in the making of basically curtailing my business to the way I wanted it to run, which is setting boundaries for your customers. People all across the board will undoubtedly try to run over you if you let them, but you have to set ground rules and as far as how you want your business to run. If you want a professional business, you want to present yourself as a professional, and you want to have the same type of customer base, you have to lay your rules down. That is, if you set a schedule for ordering and the person doesn't show up, you will lose money if you don't set your ground rules. So you need to have the rules here that, hey, there's a no refund policy. If you're putting work into it, you need to see and reap the benefits of your hard work. And that means that nothing is for free, and including your labor. You must factor that into your price as well. And I had to learn that as well, because I'm like, oh, I'm spending X amount of hours in the kitchen. Am I being compensated for it? If I were going to do my regular job, wouldn't I be compensated for my hourly rate? So I build my labor into my price of my product. And it's just the fair thing to do, because you don't want to give away what you're doing for absolute free.
Yeah, and that just takes simple research. Look at what the competition is doing. Look at what somebody that be doing it as an employee would be making. You can be similar to that. And if you can offer something better, the better packaging, or obviously the better presentation, and of course a better product, that gives you the opportunity to charge a little bit more. People will pay $1 more for convenience. People will pay $2 more for something that looks good that they can put on social media. And obviously, if it tastes better, they'll pay a lot more for it, because if you look at the grocery products, people are going to pay a lot more for Jif peanut butter than they are for Kroger brand. So if it has that recognition, that gives you the opportunity to charge more.
Yes. And one thing that I will say we pride ourselves on as far as our business, even though we did make profit, our business, the premise of our business was actually built on being an essential worker, being a nurse, working through the pandemic. And that's how the title God's Essential Eats came about. I would donate a cake or food or a lot of things to the local hospitals each week. So we were known as a charity business as well. So you want to present your business as you are. So if you're a charitable person, I would think that you would want to market your business that would be a representation of you. And also, it's okay to give some things free. You want to donate to businesses. If you have a product that you can donate, you want to do it. Even if you're a hairstylist and you have a business, it's just good business practice to give back to the community. I think you should root that in your business in some way. You can definitely be profitable, but you can get your name out there, but you can garner a lot more respect when you give back to the community, when you are reaping the benefits of what your community is giving you.
Yeah.
So I always put that in the forefront of how you operate.
Yeah, and doing things like that at the hospital employees saw that that builds a customer base. Because you brought something to them while they were at work. That's a great way to say, hey, when I want something from my family, I know who to call.
Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I mean, my business has been very blessed in the way that I moved, in the way that I donated to the community from the beginning. I never requested any business. So we had business just pouring into our lap. We had requests from people, can you do this? Can you do that? We never had to solicit business. And so that's been a great, great blessing. And at one while I was turning people away, but I would network with fellow bakers, fellow business owners, and say, hey, would you be open to getting my overflow? And of course, they were very receptive, like, yeah, of course. I know you have a lot of customers, but I know I've sent, one lady in particular, I know I've sent over 100 people her way because I had just that much business, but I was so busy that I couldn't do it. So I said, hey, I've got somebody for you. And my customers were appreciative that even though I couldn't do it, I provided a resource for them. So they still kept coming back, even though I was unable to, do their product that day.
Yeah, and that's something that'll come back because if she ever got to a point where she was overwhelmed, she would send you her people. So that's a great working relationship.
Yes.
Now something we talked about before we started recording, and something that I've learned is that so few entrepreneurs, especially in the Jackson area, are not full-time entrepreneurs, because of the unsteady income, the price of insurance, especially when you have children, the self-employment tax. So how do you manage being an entrepreneur with such high demand and being a full-time nurse?
Oh, it's difficult, but it's just something personally that I've had to learn how to move around. I'm not only a full-time nurse, I'm a full-time student, wife, and mother, and I do a lot of other things in the community. So it's a personal thing. I've always been able to juggle a lot of things at one time, and that's just your survival. Something that I've just learned how to do throughout life. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy having a full-time job and running a full-time business. As I've gotten into school to gain psych NP licensure, I've had to put my business on hold to a certain degree, but I open up every other month or every other week or so and offer specials or deals just so that I can keep my customers engaged. And as always, I always market on social media, even if I'm not in business. That keeps the anticipation going for my customers to stay tuned to what's going to be offered. And so they set their notifications on Facebook and they just wait. Like this past weekend, we rolled out some delicious cinnamon rolls, some turtle cinnamon rolls, and of course we sell out in over 5 minutes, which is great. So we can offer a product and undoubtedly everything will sell out.
Wow. Now, in the WJTV story you had last year, you talked about, you wanted to open a brick and mortar site. So, how did that come about, and what is your strategy on that? So that is something that would make, could you talk about the pickup window? That's something that could eliminate that. If you have, here are my business hours, I close the door at this time, that kind of puts more accountability on the customer to where you don't lose you don't lose your sense of space with the as an entrepreneur.
That's right. And so that's something that's in the works. Once I finish school and pass boards for site, then the brick and mortar is on the way. So the good thing about our brick and mortar business plan is that we will open up and we'll have a food truck that's going to be attached to our business as well. So we can come to you guys' area some weekends and you can enjoy our delicious treats. But we're going to have a food truck. We'll have a brick and mortar, but we have umbrella plans for different parts of our business, which will help medical professionals around the area, as well as we are going to teach cooking classes at our facility. So they'll be open for children, older adults, middle-aged adults, you name it. We will provide cooking classes. But one thing that we will pride ourselves on, we're going to do a health portion. We're going to teach people how to cook. So if you have a diabetes diagnosis, hypertension, or you have family members who suffer from those ailments, that you'll know how to cook healthily for them and for yourself. So we'll teach a lot of low sodium, low sugar, but foods that taste good and don't have all those nasty ingredients.
Yeah. Now, and I was just thinking as you were talking about this, have you had to buy any special kitchen equipment? Because home kitchens aren't designed to throw out big food service orders and big catering orders. So what kind of adjustments have you had to make? Because I was just wrapping my mind around that. I was like, I don't know how that's possible.
Okay, so that's the question I get every single solitary day. Like, do you have an industrial kitchen? Mm-mm. It's simply human work. I mean, I have, a large mixer, but I choose to mix by hand. The product comes out better. Like my cream cheese icing comes out better. I'm just that meticulous type of person. But nursing has really shaped the way I function in my business. We are schedule oriented. We're task oriented as far as nursing goes. If I have to wake up at 3 a.m. to get out 100 orders, then that's what I do. So sometimes I bake 4 cakes in my oven at one time, and then I would literally schedule it out 30 minutes here for this design, 30 minutes here for that, an hour for this type of cake. And I'd have it done on time. This past weekend, for instance, I had over 100 orders rolled out, and it's just me, preparing the orders, packaging them, and then my husband does a delivery. But it's a lot of work involved, but once we get the building, then of course we'll start hiring other people. We've hired one person, but we haven't really had to use her because we're so used to doing things on our own that we just, operate in that way. But the great thing is that we do like 2 days worth of operation, so it's not that overwhelming.
Wow. And something you mentioned, you talked about having the spreadsheet and things like that. Where people fall apart is they don't pay attention to that, or they don't want to spend money to hire, because there's more and more small businesses popping up that specialize in small businesses. We have another friend of the class that has her own accounting firm, and she specializes in Black female-owned small businesses, where she does their books for a certain amount of time on a contract basis. So how have you handled that? Have you handled that learning curve? Because even though you have a business and finance degree from Duke University, it's still a learning curve when it comes to nursing, cooking. Okay, I gotta handle all my business stuff.
Yeah. So I basically have to carve out time, pretty much like a day to do my orders. And I have a website which could do all of my Excel spreadsheets and stuff, but I am very conscious as far as my customer base and what they're having to spend for my product. So sometimes I choose to be the computer. It's okay to use your brain every now and then. So sometimes a lot of times I do my own books. If I were to let them go strictly from my website, dialsofcentraleast.com, then the computer does everything for me. There's a price that is incurred if you choose to have your website do all the calculations, all your credit card stuff. So in order to save my customers some money, because I would have to increase my price a little bit if I did it that way, or else I would lose, I just do it myself. So we have a system that I have constructed on social media, which basically it's like if you were to order a chicken salad, I say your order is chicken salad without nuts. you have banana pudding and you have a gourmet chantilly cake. Is that correct? And then they'll say, yes, this is your price. They get a green check mark, and then they get an automated response from me, which tells them where to pick up, and all their payment information. But of course, now we just copy and paste it. And I've gotten so accustomed to doing it that it's nothing now. It probably would take the average person several hours to do it. But after, it was one of those work through to grow and know type of situations where I became accustomed to doing it. But you don't have to do it that way. You can be smart and you can be more efficient by letting your website do it. But I have a heart for some people, and I know they want my product, and I don't want to go up on my prices any further. And you have to take in consideration market turns and things that happen, like inflation. We were closed when egg prices kind of shot up, but that definitely undoubtedly would have changed my price point for people. It would have increased my prices at least $5, because it became much more expensive to get things, especially like strawberries, where I would pay maybe $5 a carton. I ended up paying like $10. So, but my prices were already up here, so I didn't really have to tweak my prices much on that. But you have to take that in consideration. And if you have a good following and a good customer base, they won't mind when they see your prices change, because they know what's going on in the economy.
Wow. It's amazing how quick you've learned. Before I get to the students' questions, one thing that we're talking about now is having a competitive advantage. And obviously there's a lot of people that do similar things that you do. So what are some specific things that you do? And you talked a little bit about this. What are some specific things that you do to make your business stand out?
Customer service. That's number one and foremost. My customer service is the basis for how I operate. We are nice, we are friendly, we are professional. Being professional goes a very, very long way. We communicate. You cannot run a business if you do not communicate. If your driver is running a couple minutes late, communicate that to your customers. That is the edge that we have over everybody. People say that Chick-fil-A has good service. They don't have anything on us. We are we're nice, we're friendly, we're efficient, and we communicate. One thing about us, our presentation matches the taste of our product. We did offer a sampling program when we roll out different products. We'll get a couple of people to kind of sample and give us feedback. Luckily for us, all the feedback has always been good. So we were able to immediately roll out the products. But just putting work in, researching your product, researching different ways and different things that you could present. I know for a fact in my area, I was one of the first people to roll out the strawberry banana pudding. It's not a new concept, but you don't see that often. But yeah, one thing you'll see in your business is that you're going to see a lot of copycats. You're going to see a lot of people copy the way that you label your stuff. You can't get mad about it. You just got to get glad and keep moving. You got to keep making your product better. And you always got to remember, somebody's always going to do what you're doing, but you have to do it better. You got Popeyes, you've got KFC, you've got churches. They all sell chicken, but one is better than the other. And the customer service in one place is better than the other. So you just have to make sure that your business, even though you're presenting the same type of product as somebody else is, you got to make sure that your business is over the edge as far as how you present it or what you present. And just being a genuine, nice person with a good professional outlook, and the way that you deal with your clients will set you above everybody else.
Yeah, and one thing I always say, and the kids think I'm crazy, but I'm like, if you can sell, you can be a good business person. And, you can have a great product, but if you can't sell it and talk about it, now this class does a pretty good job, but a lot of these kids get so mad when I make them present in front of the class. And it's not to be mean, but if you're ever going to be in business even as an employee, if you're ever going to be in business for anybody, you got to be able to sell yourself, sell your product, and sell your service, because people aren't going to, like you said, they have choices. They're going to pick the one that convinces them that they're the best.
And let me tell y'all, listen, children, it is about how you sell yourself. You cannot know anything about a subject matter, but you can sell yourself as the best of the best. It's how you talk yourself up. It's your confidence. It's your ability to say that you can do it above anybody else. I've gotten a job in my adulthood. I had no earthly clue about the subject matter, but it was how I came in and executed that interview that got me the job. And when I got there for the first day, I was really young, but I sold myself on the interview. So all these older people were kind of looking at me like, how did she get it? It's because I sold myself on the job and I got it. Same with your product. Let me show y'all something. This is one of my strawberry cheesecakes, which I'm going to get to you guys if none of you guys are allergic. But the thing that sets this apart is how I label. My face is here. My brand is here. The way it's presented is great. It's tantalizing. It's colorful. And it stands above other people. Sometimes when somebody presents a product, they just throw the stuff in there. Here you go. We meticulously stack our stuff. We put the swirls just like we need to and put the strawberry on top and make it look great. That's how you have to present yourself. And I had a job at Chuck E. Cheese when I was your age. And they said I sold like specialty cups with the Chucky head on top. They said every time you were at the register, our sales on the cups were like tenfold. That's because I made it a point. I made it a point to say, hey, are you just going to, go and walk away with this little boring cup? Why don't you take this Chucky cup? It's only $2 more each time. I would sell it up. And so the sales were just through the roof. And every time I came, they said, oh, do you want to be on the register today? Because they knew that their sales for the Chucky cups would go up. But I took that type of demeanor, that type of confidence with me every time. And even if I didn't know, guess what I did? I read in my off time. I read in the times I was sitting in the bed and I couldn't go to sleep. And I researched. Those are things that you have to do to be successful in your business and to set yourself apart from everybody else. And it's nothing to be confident in your abilities. If you know that you can do it, be confident about it. Walk with your head high and look people in the eye and say, this is what I can do. And I know I can do it.
Yeah, and I know, and they get so sick of me talking about this, but I have to bring it up because I get mad thinking about it. I'm a big fan of Jasmine Sullivan's music, but on this latest album, she has a song where she talks about, I'm going to move to Atlanta, start a business, and be rich. Like it's just that easy. And I think social media has kind of done that to people. But when you're talking about the hours you put in, yeah, y'all are making a lot of money, but y'all are doing a lot of work to make that happen. It's not just something you flip a switch and say, hey, let me open up, I'm rich.
Absolutely. It's definitely not that easy. It's easy once you've done all the work and you get the customer base. Yeah, it's going to be easy, but it's going to take grueling nights and days and hours and hours and hours on end to get to the point where you can sit back and say, oh, look at all these customers. I've got so many I can't, deal with them. But you're going to have to put in the work. You're going to have to work like you don't want to in the beginning so that you can sit back and enjoy life like you want to in the end. It's a method to the madness, but it's a method to success. Everybody that's super successful in their business will tell you they've grind, they've done this, they've done that. I don't know if you guys know anything about Master P. I mean, he's a little old, but Master P was selling mixtapes out the trunk of his car. Now he's multi-millionaire. Look at Jay-Z, look at all these people. I mean, they had to really grind. They had to like people say, they had to get it out of the mud. They had to get it from the beginning to the end. And so it's a point, it's a part of the process. If you want a successful business, you're going to have to work.
Yeah. Well, I do have a couple questions. We are running out of time, but I do want to I want to get to these. This first one's Justin Clark. He's a senior, and he asked, "What was the one thing that's hard about running your business that you did not think would be hard?"
I think dealing with some of the customers and dealing with expectations. Some customers are unrealistic. You may run your business a certain way, and customers may think you're Burger King. They may try to get you to do your business like they want you to do it versus how you want to do it. And finding a way to kind of tell people no was probably the hardest, or no, I'm not going to do that. This is my recipe for this. And if you want my product, you'll have to buy it as is unless you have an allergy. Just being stern to people is kind of, I'm a really nice person. So kind of getting a backbone as far as how I was going to run my business or how I was going to do certain recipes was probably the hardest thing, dealing with different personalities. Yes.
Yeah, is a great point. This is Miles Woodard. He's also a senior, and this is a great question. He asked, "Have you ever thought about wholesaling or letting other people sell your products?"
Hey, that's a wonderful question. I have thought about um basically wholesaling my chicken salad. I have been thinking about working on a patent for my chicken salad because we have a really banging recipe and it sells out. It's really good. It would do good if we could get a distribution deal for it. So yes, I have thought about it. People have asked me to put my products in their stores and everything. It would take a lot. We would have to have a brick and mortar to kind of get that rolling. But yes, absolutely, I have thought about doing distribution of my products.
That's awesome, and I think it's just a matter of time. Now we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for joining us twice today, and just talking about this. I mean, both of your stories that you have as a nurse and as a business owner are just so cool. You got to hear them to believe them. I don't know anybody else with two cool background stories. But before we go, tell us how to find you, and if they want to order something and see what all you have.
Okay. Yeah, you can find me on social media at Dafina Skinner Armstrong, and I can add you to my group, or you can look me up, Da's Essential Eats and Cakes, LLC. My website is dasessentialeats.com, and that Da is DAHS, essentialeats.com. And there is a chat feature on there. If you say, hey, do you offer this? It comes straight to my phone, and I'll get right back to you expeditiously.
Yeah, and you got pictures of stuff on there, and it is just mouth watering looking. We were taking a look at it last night, so it is really really. I can't wait to try it. So thank you so much, Dafina Skinner Armstrong, owner of Da's Essential Eats
Eats
and
and,
Treats.
and cakes.
I'm sorry, eats and cakes, but
Yeah.
there are all treats. So just so cool. One of the coolest business origin stories we've had. So we thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. And make sure you get the tally of your students and their allergies so we can get you some treats to the school.
I will do that. I'll talk to you soon, my friend.
Thank you.
See ya.